Good afternoon. We're here with Lars Tofft, here at the Ericsson booth at the Mobile World Congress, the head of business development for Northern Europe, Russia and CIS. Good afternoon, Lars. And
Good afternoon.
We're here to talk about the future of, well, actually the present today of infrastructure services worldwide, but also maybe as they also seem in Russia with the Russian telecom market, but also worldwide. How do you see the current types of collaborations, especially with OTT types of services?
Well, if you start from the basics, it's all about moving from voice to data and understanding that business model. And I think in all of our region, Northern Europe and Central Asia, this is the focus of all the operators. So what is interesting here is what does actually mean for the carriers, the operators? How do they need to prepare themselves in terms of how they go to the market with services, specific service, but also how they transform their networks? Coming back to your question on the OTT players, which is very interesting in the TV space, we have seen a development now where operators either, you could say, fight with the OTT players or they embrace them. And we see more and more a need for embracing. And that's actually a trend for the whole industry. This transformation of our industry is so huge that nobody on his own can actually do it by themselves. So vendors and ourselves, OTT players and the operators need to come together in order to deliver on the promise, which is a much better customer experience for the users out there in the market, whether it's whatever device they have, if they want to see video on whatever device, or they just want to, surf on the internet.
So as those services, so you can't, why fight on just join them, but as a lot of these legacy services become commoditized, the old MVAS services, for instance, what are the new services that can actually help grow certain ARPU segments in the carrier composition?
It depends a little bit on what kind of role the operators are going to have. Mm-hmm. Because we will see from the past, we have one operator doing it all, but we do see from Ericsson's side a segmentation of operators. Mm-hmm. Operators will take different roles. Mm-hmm. Some will be a bit provider, others will be the service creator, high up in the value chain. So it depends on what kind of role you want to play. Now the bigger players are typically those who have access to content or have a TV. Now they have to think about
conglomerates.
Yeah, they have to think about how can they take these services to the market. Let's take TV. How can they put TV on every single device? And in order to do that in an efficient way, they need to, you could say, what we call IP, put all IP into their networks in order to do it in an efficient way. So depending on role, depending on market maturity, now from our region, if you look at the west side, a little bit more ahead. However, I would say Russia is picking up very, very fast, and we are doing TV business with the operators in Russia already. So I think it's accelerating. It's catching up.
Very exciting type of cloud service and software-defined cloud service developments in a lot of markets.
SDN, as you call it, virtualization of network, that is also coming, and that's what I referred to before. Mm-hmm. Because all the changes from voice to data put enormous requirements on the network, mm-hmm. actually to make that happen. So if you want to have voice over IP over LTE, then you need to understand how you introduce that. Mm-hmm. But you need to have a full coverage of LTE before you can do that. Otherwise it only works in pockets, so it doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. So what we see in the North American market and some parts of Asia is that they are full speed ahead, mm-hmm. because they realize that both from a cost perspective but also from a user perspective that they need to have very high performing networks in order to deliver on the promise.
And the customers are happy, so they consume more ultimately.
Yeah, we see in a tremendous demand, mm-hmm. And not only for the classic users, but another trend that we see growing very, very fast is the machine to machine. Mm-hmm. So, and that puts a different kind of requirements on the networks, whether it's machine to machine or whether it's a user. So we see a huge trend of industries, utilities, transport, that are really requesting how can they use ICT to develop their business. Mm-hmm. Not only take cost out, but also actually deliver a service. So you have smart metering as an example, mm-hmm. That you connect your home, mm-hmm. You have the whole development of the cities, the mega cities, the urban life. All that stuff put enormous requirements on the networks and thereby the operators.
So, focusing a little bit on Russia and CIS for the moment, because that's an area that you obviously look after.
Yeah.
It would appear, and if you can speak more to this, that the operators there have a little more of that triple play that you referred to.
Yeah.
They kind of seem to have that opportunity, perhaps, to expand in that area. How do you see it?
I see we have conversations with all of them actually, because they try to understand how can they leverage this one. I think they are catching up very, very fast actually. One of our biggest TV deals ever we made in Russia. So it's absolutely, from my point of view, it is developing, and it's more to come. Actually, we have some press releases coming in the Russian market on TV.
Are there specific areas, parts of innovation in Russia that you see where there might be even a leapfrog effect?
I could imagine that. We do also see other interesting industries, catching the interest of how to use ICT, and we have discussions there as well together with operators. And we do also see the cloud opportunity coming in Russia. But there are some restrictions there that we need to address. There's a lot of discussion all over about clouds, public clouds, private clouds, what have you. And there are certain restrictions to the Russian market on that. So, but despite that, I'm pretty sure that we will see this coming, both on the network side, but also on the services side.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Lars, and thank you.